I want to tell you about our daughter, Raina. She was good to people. She had a beautiful singing voice. And she was smart. What happened to her was wrong. It's unfair. It's unfair that she'll never get to blow out the candles for her sweet 16. Or go to prom. Or walk down the aisle on her wedding day. There is somebody out there who robbed her. They robbed us of her beautiful future. We tried to protect her. We did. But I can't help feel responsible. We are all responsible.
Hey, what's up? What's going on, everybody? So today we're doing our power recaps. Yes, right? Episode 2. Let's go ahead. I'm going to do some shout outs first from last week. I'll probably do maybe like 3. I don't want to make it too long. All right, so shout out to Nelly Mac 91, who said that Cristobal is the name of the guy who works with Dre. Because, you know, I don't know, like sometimes, let me sit up a little bit. Sometimes, I tell you, it's not like when I do the reality show recaps, because with the reality show recaps, they always have the names. For these people, I don't even remember half of like some of my family's names, you know? I'd be like, oh, give her the thing, you know, go pass it to her, or, you know, something like that. Never mind these people that I see like once a week, you know? I'm seeing this show once a week. I haven't seen this show in how long, so I'm starting to catch up, but it's going to take me a little bit. Sometimes I might even have to Google it before I start, you know, typing up things. I've done that as well. So yeah, I couldn't remember the damn man name, but thank you so much for letting me know who that was. Let's see. Jasmine Robinson said Ghost and Tasha were wrong for putting wealth and reputation over the kids. Tyreek still needs to get knocked out though. I'm with you on that one. I don't bust his ass, yo, because he need a good whooping or something. But hopefully, if he really end up going to this away school, hopefully that helps. But I feel like something's going to come up with that whole situation with the Robin thing. I feel like that might delay things, you know? Keisha Charmaine said the Latina girl recognized Gold's voice, not his face. Thank you for the correction, because I don't mind corrections, you know? As long as we all respectful here, I don't care. It's all good. She was blindfolded. Besides the fact that she don't want to look besides the fact that they don't want to look like they have a vendetta against James, they don't think she's a reliable witness because a voice recognition doesn't have much credibility. That makes so much sense. Thank you for all that information. Alright, so that was my 3 shout outs. Let's go ahead and get into this episode. The beginning was so dumb because they had those 2 dudes from the other team that was at the dock for the Jimenez people, and they gonna pull out their little baby guns when these dudes had like automatic rifles and blasted them. That was, I was like y'all pretty much committed suicide right now, because that was so dumb. Like, you had the opportunity. Dudes looked like they was about to let them walk away. They had the opportunity to walk away, and these dummies gonna pull out their little baby guns. Like, yo, really? So Angela, she called a meeting with the fellas. It was with Sax, Mak, and I forgot the black dude's name. Was his name Robinson? I feel like his name was Robinson, but I could be totally and utterly wrong. And I didn't hear them say it unless I must have, you know, kind of bypassed that. Anyway, y'all know who I'm talking about. I feel like they don't fully respect her because of everything that she's been going through with the whole James situation and how things was coming up missing. Like, they know the story, so they don't really trust her, they don't respect her or anything like that, but it's like they have to listen to her because she's the woman in charge right now, you know? She's the head BIC. So it's like they have to listen to her because they want their jobs, but they don't want to. Then later on, they had like a secret meeting where they're pretty much saying that they want to get her out, which was something I already knew. Especially, it's not really the black dude, but it's Mak and Sax that really want to get her out. They like done with her. They're ready to see her out of here. Following that, Keisha, she was making breakfast for the family or whatever, and she tries to get information from Tommy about what's going on with Tyreek and how, you know, she's down to rise, she's down to be in an alibi, but she kind of wants to know, like, what is everything that's going on? And he's just like, it's best if you don't know. Because, you know, as they say, what you don't know, you can't say. You know, there's no way that she can go up on a stand and look the wrong direction and kind of show that she knows something, even though she's pretending she doesn't. It's because you really, really don't know. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the best way for things to be right now. It looked like, you know, she was starting to get them old feelings back, but she had to kind of push that away, and he was touching her hand a little bit. They kind of had to like, she had to like pull away real quick. She ain't trying to fall back into that old thing. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how it starts. You're vulnerable at the moment. You feel that love and tender touch that you've been missing, or you kind of need. You need that comfort because you're feeling some type of way right now. And then it becomes a constant, you know, we're going to do it. You know, so that's what she was trying to avoid by kind of pulling away and walking away from him at that moment. Angela, she meets up with Tasha. This is like a reoccurring event now. And she lets her know that the job was taken care of. But she also asks her if there's anybody else that can kind of link the fact that Tyreek knew Ray Ray. She doesn't really know, but she's determined to make sure that she finds out if there is anybody else. The dynamic trio, which I call Ghost, Kanan, and Tommy, they meet up, and all of them now know that each of them received one of those little cards from, well, it seems like it could have been something related to the Jimenez situation. So they know now that they really gotta like watch their back. And at that moment, the Serbian dude just so happens to walk up, and he's pissed at Tommy because Tommy made him lose millions of dollars with that whole doc situation. He's also pissed that Tommy's still working with Ghost, even though he did tell him to kind of throw him away. And didn't, I believe, if I remember correctly, that he was trying to get him to kill Ghost or whatever, and really like just cut ties from him altogether back in the last season. Now Tommy, being the quick thinker, not intelligent thinker, but quick thinker that he is, he ends up telling this dude that he's going to make sure he does everything right, and he's going to go ahead and den off the Jimenez people. He's gonna do them out, and Ghost and Kane is just looking at him like, yo, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we didn't even have this discussion. So now they're both part of this. They have to help him to take down Jimenez. And Ghost is like, yo, what the fuck are you thinking about? This is not okay. This is unacceptable. This is crazy, you know what I mean? Because they wasn't really trying to like cut off their supplier. The person that they was really trying to get was Dre. And now this is a whole nother ballgame. Like, they just stepped into the fire right now. Tommy is messing up on all sides because now he had to have a talk with Sammy, which is kind of like his uncle. Is like a close friend of the family, of his father, or whatever. So he meets up with him. And it just so happens that one of those dudes that was supposed to be a hitman to take out Dre, you know, when they did that unsuspected type of thing last week, one of them is still alive. He was in this little garage area, and Sammy was able to know that he was there because he knows him from when he was kids or whatever. And that's someplace that he used to go. The other dude straight up died, like, right off the bat. But this dude was still holding on for life. Like, he shot and he's just sitting there bleeding away, like, dying, literally. What's his name? Tommy was trying to, like, dun him off real quick, like, kill him off. But Sammy was like, nah, that's not how we do things. He was like, that's his family. That's Vincent's family, you know, the big dog. And he was like, we can't do this. So he's going to go ahead, try to get him some help, see what he can do. the same dude was telling him like that the reason why he wanted to turn him off is because he was telling him like, yo, you're gonna have to go ahead and tell Vincent what happened and that you hired us to do this. And this is the reason why everything happened the way it happened. Proctor gets a visit from Mark, and John Mark. And he tells him that if he's able to be a snitch and give up information on some of his clients, then he will help him to get off of this whole case that he's the one who helped to put him on, where he's trying to get him disbarred from being an attorney, a criminal attorney or whatever. But he's like, he pretty much declines it. He's not really with it. He did mention something about his daughter, but that kind of opened his eyes and probably made him think a little bit, but he still declined for that moment. Cristobal, I got the name now. He met up with Dre, and there's some young dude named, I think his name was Francis, that was working with him. I feel like he was kind of like putting bugs in his ear, like every time, like he was kind of feeding Dre things to say, you know, and ideas that weren't necessarily good ideas or things that he should be doing. But he was going along with it because they so cool and I guess they grew up together. Cristobal wasn't really feeling it. He wasn't really feeling none of the ideas. He's just like, yo, that's a bad idea. But because Dre is closer to this dude, he was following what he was saying. And I'm like, dude, you're not a real leader if you like really, I mean, yeah, you gotta listen to people, but you also gotta pick and choose what things you kind of feel are the best to do. Now, at the same moment, Kanan and Ghost was sitting outside and they was having like a little talk. They was looking at Dre's people when he came outside, the Francis dude. Matter of fact, I think it was both of them, was it? Anyways, they was out there. Kanan kind of mentioned, well, Ghost mentioned that he's out after this. And Kanan was just like, the thing about it is, you got to think about your boy Tommy, because if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't even be in this right now. And it's true, you know, like Tommy does put him in a lot of crap. And from what we've learned, he's done it from when he was little. You know, it's always been something where he had to help him clean up a situation. So it did seem like Ghost kind of was like thinking like, wow, he's kind of like a problem, you know? Kind of just like, he didn't really even think of it like that. Now, Mak, he's still on his little journey. He goes now to see Terry. And he asks Terry why he's not like a character witness for Proctor's trial that he's going to be having. And he's like, he's just not, you know? And he's like, well, he ends up giving the dude a subpoena so that he can bring him, because he feels like he knows some information that can probably help to make Proctor lose the case. Since Proctor is like, oh, you don't want to be with me? Alright, then I'm going to help to bring you down then. Okay? Then we had Tommy. He went to go see his pops. And he tells his pops that, he tells his pops, you know, he's sorry about everything that's going on with Connie. And he's like, yo, make sure you don't say nothing about Connie, about you being my kid to Connie, because that'll put her in the grave even faster. You know, I mean, she's always wanted to have a child from what we learned, but she wasn't able to. So knowing that he had a child outside of the marriage would like totally crush her. That would like dampen her spirits. You know, it's crazy how the mind and the heart work, but they can definitely cause your health to decline, especially if it's already at a bad point right now. And so that was something that he told him. He also told him that he heard about the party that he had where he didn't let the host know about it, which is basically he's talking in codes, because he's talking about how he hired these two hitmen that was part of Vincent's crew, but didn't even ask or tell Vincent anything about it. And now the dude is dead. So he's like, yo, you're going to have to go to Vincent, let him know what went down, and make sure that you take whatever punishment, whatever crime that he's going to give to you. That's how we do it. He was like, you should have came to me, but you messed up, so now you're going to have to face the consequence. I was like, well, there you go. And it ended up that both of the dudes, because when Vincent went back with Sammy, both of the dudes, the other dude was dead as well. They went back with a doctor, you know, try to fix him up, but he was already gone by the time they got there. So now, instead of him having to tell that, oh, one of your dudes was done, now he has to tell him that both of them, was pretty much done off because of his stupidity and because he wanted to take action without really saying anything to anyone first. So now we have Proctor in court, and he makes his defense that Mak pretty much set him up for all this, and he's mad that he won the case, and things along that line. Shortly after he gives his speech, Mak sits down, and then Terry has to come because you already know he was subpoenaed to come in. And he mentions that there was a conflict of interest because he was Tommy Egan's attorney, and then he ends up being attorney. Yeah, I know who I'm talking about. Ghost attorney. So he was just like, there was some type of conflict of interest. He ends up telling him not to do something when he personally wouldn't have told him not to take that deal. But he was like, wasn't he innocent though? Because remember, it was Terry that had to take over the case. So it's like, wasn't he innocent though? By saying no, that would make him look bad. So of course he had to say yes. He's like, yes, he was. He's like, okay, so me telling him to take a deal that he should not have taken anyway, what kind of lawyer would I be? Like, he made a good little argument right there. I was like, you better go ahead, Proctor, and show them why you're number one. You're number one criminal defense right now. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So he made a good defense there. They did ask if they feel that Terry feels that he's unethical. And that's when he came back with his little defense mode where he said what he had to say. I don't know. He still has to wait some time to see. He's a good lawyer. I hope that he doesn't end up having to, like, put Jamie under the fire or anything like that in order to save himself. Because that would be real messed up. But that's pretty much, when people's backs against the wall, you never know what they're going to do. And if Mak gets enough information to put his back really up against that wall, we don't know. Especially if it has something to do with his daughter, because you know he loves his daughter. Like, you know, people do anything for their kids a lot of times. That's how Kanan got Dre into the mess in the first place, was because, remember the whole thing with his daughter. Now, that same young dude, that Francis dude that I was talking about, he sees the Toro dude walking, ends up shooting him down with another dude that was with him called Spanky, some, you know, little geeky dude we've seen on a few different episodes with the glasses. And he pretty much, like, they gun him down. His friend was trying to tell him not to do it, but he's like, nah. Like, he's like, yo, I don't think this is a good idea. But he was like, nah, he's just going to go ahead and do it. So he went ahead and did it. And it was pretty much a bad idea, because then when he went to go see Dre, he had to tell him what he did. And both Cristobal and Dre, they weren't really feeling that. They're like, that was a bad idea. Like, you're supposed to do what I tell you to do. What you doing? He's like, yo, my nigga, like, did you forget where you came from? He's like, yo, those Jimenez dudes got you smelling yourself. And I'm like, yeah, he kind of is, but this is the life you chose to be in, and he's kind of like your boss, and he can't be having you disrespecting him doing what you want to do. He's like, yo, you had one job to do and you fucked it up. Like, what are you doing? So he was like, yo, you're off the payroll or something like that. And he said that Spanky's off too. And the crazy thing about it is that Spanky told him several times that it wasn't a good idea. He's like, yo, Spanky didn't even do nothing. He's like, yeah, but he didn't come back to me and tell me what you did. So he was quiet about it. So he's off too. He was like, Cristobal's the only one that's going to be on now. And I'm like, well, that's how you make enemies, because now Francis is going to be upset. So I know he's going to be hating on Cristobal right about now. And that's how a lot of these things be happening. Because remember when Dre ended up off in, what's his name, Rico? I always want to call somebody Rico. What the hell is wrong with me? Y'all know who I'm talking about. When he went into off him, it was because of jealousy. A lot of times that's how it goes, because they be mad that this person's like your right-hand man, or they be like, yeah, your next up. You know what I mean? Like, that's the person that's that's your hitter, your shooter. That's the person that's always with you. They want to be that person. But he's not refined enough. Like, he didn't get that training through Ghost like Dre did to know how to handle certain situations and not be all gung-ho. Like, he's like on some Tommy, I'm going to do whatever I want to do and I'm the boss type of person. Ghost and Tasha, they go to like a grief meeting at the church because it's something that she really feels that she needs. But Ghost, he wasn't really feeling that. He's just like, we can't. Well, I mean, first he wasn't feeling it, but then eventually he was down with it. He ended up going. But then when they get there and, you know, they hear a story being shared about this guy who killed this other couple's daughter because he was a drunken driver and he still drinks, and the guy's just telling him like how much rage he has and how he wants to hurt this guy and how he actually watches this guy as he goes into the bar, gets a drink, and still goes behind the wheel, and how upset he is about it. And they're listening, and she was ready to share and just kind of get some things off her chest, but he's like, no. You know, he kind of stopped her like, no. Let's keep it to ourselves. And it's like she has so much pent-up frustration. It's like these kind of things can definitely kill you if you're just holding so much inside. And she's like, who the hell are we supposed to go to? Maybe we should have asked to be referred to counseling for drug dealers and, you know, and murderers of kids or something, you know, something along those lines. Like, maybe then they would understand. He's going through his own shit because he even started drinking again. And he's calling Angela. Angela's not answering the phone. He's leaving her messages saying that how he needs help. But Angela's just trying to keep her job and just stay as far away from him as she can. Because as we revealed in the last episode, she's still in love with him. I mean, love doesn't just go away because you're like, oh, he told me to leave, you know. Unless you got that. I mean, I could definitely be really vengeful. I still love you, but I love you from a distance. I'll cut off all ties to you so that I just can't think about the good times. You know, I'll try to remember only the bad. If I'm trying to forget about somebody like that, you know. I feel like for her, that's exactly what she's trying to do. Like, to cut off all ties so that she doesn't fall into that trap again, because she knows how much she cares about him. That's the reason why she's still helping Tasha out. So yeah, like I was saying, he's falling apart and everything. He's starting to drink again. He hasn't drank in like mad years because I don't even think he used to drink at all, because he was saying how his father was an alcoholic. Tasha, she talks to Tyreek when she was going to this event. It's like kind of like a banquet type of thing. It was supposed to be DK, a banquet type of thing that she's supposed to be doing with Ghost, because she didn't want him to, she didn't want to do the whole press conference thing, so she wasn't with it. So Tate told them like, okay, let's do this instead. So he was like, they agreed to it. He tells him that she's going to be sending him away, and he's like, it's all his fault, and he feels like everybody knows it, you know. He blames himself. I mean, he kind of should blame his mother effing self, because he wouldn't listen to anybody. All he was doing was being freaking rude all the time. Not listening to his mom, not listening to his dad, not listening to Raina. Maybe if he would have listened to her when she tried to help him, he wouldn't have gotten to that situation. He wouldn't have gotten to this point, you know? So it's like, yeah. But, you know, she's like, you did make some bad choices and bad decisions, but you're always going to be my child. And that's one thing about a mother's love. Like, we can cut you off and all that if needed. It has to be something real bad, but there's always going to be that love because that person was growing inside of you. You know what I mean? So that's exactly what she pretty much told him. He said supposedly he's going to be making better choices, so we shall see. We shall see. Only time will tell. Now, Tate, when they walk into this thing, he's having a press conference with all the cameras and everything there. And as soon as they walk in, he's like, introduces them and says that they're going to say something about Raina's murder. And they're just like, you know, they try not to let it show on their face, but they was really annoyed about this. It was literally an ambush. So that's where Tasha, she had to end up saying what she had to say. And, you know, once Ghost did his little speech, Jamie, I should say at this moment, he did his little speech. She said what she had to say and told the group, well, the people, a little bit about her daughter and how she was such a beautiful person and she was smart and everything and how she was robbed. And she does feel like she's partly responsible, and they're all responsible for her death, you know? After that, she was totally pissed about the fact that this happened. Like I said, Ghost didn't know anything about this. He felt like he was ambushed as well, and he was really upset about it. And he let Tate know the way that he felt. But of course, Tate is only about, he wants to be the governor. I heard that he might be getting his own show, like a spinoff. I'm like, yes. I was dead calling him the wrong name last week. I think I called him Calvin, or is that his name as well? And I remember I called him Calvin, but the paper said Rashad. So I'm like, is his name Calvin or Rashad? Or is it Calvin Rashad Tate? Perhaps. Now, Tommy, he finally talks to Vincent, and he tells him about the whole screw-up and everything. And he's told that he has to now pay 50% of whatever he owns. I mean, he's going to be losing about 50% of whatever he's supposed to be making. On top of that, he has to pay restitution to these families. And he's like, yo, you better not do it again. He asks Sammy if it's been taken care of because, well, Tommy says that it's been taken care of. And Vincent asked Sammy to confirm, and he was like, yeah, it has. So Vincent kind of left it at that. He's just like, yo, just make sure that you don't mess up your father's name and his good reputation with us. That was kind of the end of that. He's like, you know, don't tarnish his name. After walking away, Sammy punches him, gives him a 1-2, boom, boom. He's like, just because you got away from Vincent doesn't mean you're going to get away from me. He's like, yo, don't ever put me in that type of situation again. Because, I mean, he made him lie to his boy. And, you know, he's not that type of dude. Like, he seems like a real loyal type of guy. He's been friends with his father for all these years or whatever. So, you know, he helps to take care of his father's wife and everything while his father's in jail. So, yeah, I tell you, this dude keep on messing up left and right. Now, Diego, he was in the club. And Dre goes up to talk to him because he's causing problems, buying mad liquor and not really paying for it, talking about he knows Dre or whatever. He ends up giving Dre a gift of a woman. And Dre ain't really want to do her because, homie, Diego was just doing her like the other night. He walked in on him when they was talking business, and it's like he wanted him to see him doing it. Like, you know, like, just watch me as I do it. I want a little bit of an audience. So now he's like, yo, I'm going to give you her. And he's like, yo, I'm good. But he didn't really want to do it, but he was like pretty much forced to do it. He takes her to the bathroom. He's like, yo, let's just make believe. He was like, nah. She was like, we got to do it because he will smell me and know that I didn't do it. And he will kill us both. So I'm like, yo, but he like dead up raw dogged her. Like just pulled it out and started doing her right there in the bathroom. I'm like, oh, this is kind of sexy, but ew, like she does everybody. I would never, if I was a guy, stick my stuff inside of somebody like that. Like, you know, I can't really pull out nothing, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't do anybody that's like that. Like, that's mad dirty. That's like you doing a prostitute pretty much. So he's doing her, and then in walks Diego, and he's like, it's my turn to watch. Dre was just like over it. We zipped it up, put it away, and was out. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely a killer. You know, who wants to like, that's mad creepy. Like, almost like your boss watching you have sex with a girl that he was just doing. Like, nah, that's too awkward. It was mad uncomfortable. I'm like, yo, is this dude like a little? But, damn, it looks like my SD card about to run out. So Angela, she keeps on swerving Jamie. She's still trying to like not talk to him. Dude ends up like bugging out. I'm like, yo, if she would have just helped him out. He ends up bugging out, going over by that same bar. I thought he was about to drink, you know, and just like be one of those drunken drivers and do something stupid. But nah. Homie straight took a knife, followed the same dude that the guy from church mentioned, and stabbed up the guy. And I'm just like, I'm pretty sure that guy, once he finds out, he's going to be like, wow, how ironic is it that this guy who's been on trial and all types of things for being this person, comes to our meeting, finds out about this, and then lo and behold, this guy's miraculously dead. You know, like redemption or not, you know? So, I don't know. He's just, his emotions are getting the best of him right now, and I really feel like he does need somebody to talk to. But, of course, there's not a lot of people in his corner that he can talk to other than Tasha. And because Angela, I feel like he could talk to her. He could probably have sex with her, get it off his brain. I think that's another thing, too. Because I know how y'all guys be. You know, you need to relieve that stress. You know, and sex is definitely a great way to relieve a little bit of stress, at least for the moment. But it doesn't even look like he's getting that. So that's probably another thing that he's trying to, like, work his way to, you know, see if he can get that real quick. Well, that's pretty much the episode, you guys. I think I made it. Yes, I did. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you thought about this episode down below. Stay fabulous, live free, and soar limitless. I will see you in the next one.